ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the last session, we completed a very important portion of Vivekachudamani, which started with a question from the Shishya. And we have seen that that particular question from the Shishya was that, what is this bandha? What is this that is causing this bondage? What is bandha? Ko nama bandha? Kathamesha agataha? From where has this bandha come? Ka asya pratishtha? What is its sustenance? How is this bandha sustained? The fourth question of vimoksham asmat bandhat vimoksham katham? How can I get free from this bandha or this bondage? Now the student has felt the bondage. The student knows, the Shishya knows, he is sufficiently informed enough that this body is coming back again and again and again, and that there is this particular bondage of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, again and again coming into this life, circle of life, cycles of life and death. And then he also knows that most of the time he is unhappy, with a few moments of happiness in between. And then he wants to know, what is this bondage that I am feeling? Though I am here, though I am experiencing the world, though I am transacting with the world, what is this bondage that I am feeling? From where it has come? How it is sustained? And is there any freedom from this bondage for me? This is what the student or the Shishya wants to know. These were the four questions about Bandha. Then he asked also about what is Atma, what is Anatma. What is this Atma? What is this Anatma you have been talking about? The teacher has been talking about Anatma and Atma. So what is this Anatma? What is this Atma? And Tayoho Vivekaha Kaha. What is this Viveka? What is this discrimination between Anatma and Atma? So this entire section of 7 questions have been answered in the last 3-4 sessions that we have taken, starting from the very first question. But what did the teacher do? He did not take up the question of answering the first question, Ko Nama Bandhaha, he did not answer first. He tried to answer the question, 5th and 6th question. That is what is this Atma, what is this Anatma? It is very necessary for the Shishya to first understand what is the nature of Anatma, what is the meaning of Anatma, what is the meaning of Atma, knowing which only he can understand what the bondage is. To understand bondage, one has to first understand what is Anatma, what is Atma, what is that confusion which is there between Anatma and Atma, because of which the bondage is coming. Therefore, Bhagwan Shankaracharya, through the mouth of the Guru here, answers the questions of what is Atma and what is Anatma first. In this also, the teacher, the Guru, takes up to answer what Anatma is first. I thought I should take a summary of this entire teaching because this is a very important aspect of the teaching of Vedanta as to what this bondage is and how this has come about. So, very briefly in this session, we will summarize what the teacher, what the Guru answers the Shishya's questions regarding the bandha and also regarding Atma and Anatma. So, what is it that he is asking about it? Let us say what the Guru is going to talk about here regarding this bandha and also how it is coming about. So, the teacher decides, hey, Shishya, to know what bandha is, first you should know what is Anatma and what is Atma. So, first he talks about Anatma. And what does he say about Anatma? He says, Anatma is that which you are not. That which you are not is Anatma. That which you are in your real nature, in your true nature, that is you are that Atma. So, what is this Anatma? The teacher divides the Anatma at this stage, he divides the Anatma into three layers. He goes to the five layers of Panchakosha later, when the Viveka comes. But to describe what is Anatma, he takes the three bodies. The Sthula Sharira, the Sukshma Sharira, and the Karana Sharira are taken as initially to describe what Anatma is. And he talks about what the Sthula Sharira is, that it is the gross physical body. Then he comes to that which is the subtle body, which is not the gross physical body, but subtle body, which is called as the Sukshma Sharira, describes what the Sthula Sharira is, describes what the Sukshma Sharira is, and then comes to Karana Sharira where he describes Maya. He describes Prakriti and says that this Prakriti or Karana Sharira is the Bija, is the seed from which the Sukshma Sharira and the Sthula Sharira have emerged. And this particular Prakriti, from the point of view of the entire universe, which really gives rise to the entire name and form universe, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says this Prakriti is called as Maya. And in one of the sessions, I very clearly and in great detail explained what Maya is. So, first he takes up the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, and describes them and as Anatma. I'm not going to go into the details of what it is because we have already studied that. And those who want can listen again and again to what this Sthula Shariram is, what the gross physical body is, what the subtle body is, Sukshma Sharira, what the causal or Karana Sharira is, that has already been very, in detail it has been explained. Then what does Bhagwan say, or what does the teacher say? He says, you are not this Anatma. Anatma or not the Atma is this Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. And you are not this Anatma. Then what am I? If I am not the Anatma, he says, you are that Atma. What is that Atma? That Atma is something which is of the nature of consciousness, whereas the Anatma is that of the nature of matter principle. Atma is one, Anatma is many. Atma is Nityam, it is there eternal all the time. Anatma comes at a point in time and goes at a point in time. Sthula Sharira appears on the date of birth and dies at the date of death. Sukshma Sharira, of course, Anadi Jivataya, it continues. But I can put an end to my Sukshma Sharira. Karana Sharira, for myself, this Avidya Karana Sharira, I can put an end to it with this knowledge. With Atma Jnana, I can put an end to this particular Karana Sharira, which is nothing but Maya. And then he says, you are neither of them. You are neither the Sthula Sharira, nor the Sukshma Sharira, nor the Karana Sharira, but you are that Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Atma. That means what? You are eternal, whereas Anatma is temporary, Agama Pai, it comes and goes. You are one and single, whereas the other three are things which are put together. You, the Atma, is something which is unlimited, aparichhinna. You are all pervasive. You are everywhere. You are of the nature of consciousness, whereas the Anatma is of the nature of matter. It is all the time limited. And you, the Atma, is one consciousness, whereas the Anatma, body, mind, sense complex, is matter principle, many things which are put together. Therefore, he says, you are not the Anatma, but you are the Atma. So, first starts with Anatma, Atma Viveka. Why is this important? Because the teacher says that The reason for your bondage. Ko nama bandha. He comes to this answering of this bandha question from the student, from the shishya later, because the teacher says the bondage is because of confusion between Atma and Anatma. So he says, Ko nama bandha. What is this bandha? That you are taking yourself to be the body, mind, sense complex. This is bandha. Why is this happening? Kathamesha agataha. How is this particular misconception? How this particular mistake in understanding has come about? So for this, the teacher says that it is because of anadi avidya. What is the meaning of anadi avidya? For time immemorial, this Maya has created a situation for a jiva in such a way that the reality of oneself is forgotten. That I am that Atma Swarupa is forgotten. My Swarupam, my reality is completely forgotten, and I take myself to be something that I am not. And the example given is what? In Vedanta, Rajju Sarpa. When I don't see the rope clearly, when the rope is hidden from me and it is very unclear in dim light when I see the rope, I don't take it as rope, I don't understand it as rope, but I mistake it for something else. Similarly, when you don't know something very clearly, you know it partially, you know something partially, you don't know it fully, then there is always a chance of projecting something which is wrong. That is what is happening. And how is it happening? Kathamesha agataha, Kathamesha bandhaha agataha. How has this bondage come about? Here, the Guru tells the Shishya that you are that Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma. You are that Atma, the consciousness principle, the light of consciousness, the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, that Atma which is eternal, that Atma which is Ajaha, Nityaha, Shashvataha, Puranaha. But what is this Deha? This is Ashashvatam, Anityam, Vikari, constantly changing. But unfortunately, you are mistaking yourself to be this Anatma, body, mind, sense complex. What is the reason for this? How this bandha has come about? This Maya, which was talked about earlier as Karana Sharira, with respect to the Jiva, this Prakriti or Maya is called as Avidya. What is the meaning of avidya? Avidya means ignorance. We are all born with this ignorance. All of us are born with this ignorance. And what is this ignorance? That I do not know my reality. I do not know my real nature. And because of that, I mistake myself to be something other than what really I am. This is the work, this is the handiwork of avidya. What does avidya do? Avidya or Maya has two kinds of powers. It was talked about the Avarana Shakti and the Vikshepa Shakti. What is the meaning of Avarana Shakti? That which veils, that which covers. Like supposing you have sun which is covered by clouds. I'm not able to see the sun not because the sun is covered by clouds. The clouds here in our sky cannot really, cover the sun. What the clouds are doing is they are covering my field of vision. My axis of vision is being covered, because of which I don't see the sun. Because of the sunlight itself, the clouds that are covering it are also very, very easily visible to me. So here the teacher is saying that your problem of bandha is because you are mistaking yourself to be the anatma. And what is this anatma? That which is temporarily there, that which you are not. You, the Atma, because of this avidya's avarana shakti, your real nature is literally veiled or literally covered. When your nature, when your reality is covered, when what you are really is covered by the avarana shakti or veiling power of Maya, what happens is I project something which is false. I project something which is really not correct, which is wrong. So, here also, It's not that I don't know myself. It's not that I don't know the Atma. I know myself. I know myself very clearly, but what I am, I don't know. Aham asmi iti I know. I am there, I am iti I know very clearly. But what is that I? Who am I? According to the scriptures, what you think you are not. You are that Atma. You know you are. Everybody knows. Nobody needs to get a proof from anybody else. Everybody knows that Aham Asmi. I exist. I am there. I am there. Everybody knows. But what is that I? Who am I? What is this I? As it is told in the scriptures, I do not know that. I am Brahman. I am that consciousness which is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. I am that consciousness which is behind everything else in this Jagat. I am that consciousness which is behind even God or Ishvara also. This aspect I do not know. I have the Samanya Jnanam. I have got the general idea of I exist. But I am that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, because of which this Anatma body mind sense complex is surviving, sentient. I do not know that. The Vishesha Jnanam is not there. Samanya Jnanam is there. Ahamasmi iti Samanya Jnanam is there. Aham Brahma Asmi iti Vishesha knowledge is not there. Like in Manda Andhakara, there is something I know, but that something is Raju, that something is actually a rope. This I do not know. So when I don't know exactly what it is, I confuse that something for something else. And this is what has happened. Because of the Avarana Shakti of Maya, you do not know your reality. You know you are, but what you are, who you really are, you do not know, because of which the Vikshepa Shakti of Maya is projecting a wrong impression, a wrong idea about yourself, and to you take yourself to be anything else other than the real you. The real you is Atma, whereas you mistake yourself to be an Atma. You mistake yourself to be the body mind sense complex. This mistake is the cause of your bondage. Kathamesha agataha. This is the reason. This is how the bondage has come about. Ka asya pratishta. What is it that continues this bondage? For this, the teacher takes the example of a tree of samsara, and the jiva being a bird, like jiva is a bird on the tree of samsara. And this tree of samsara is fueled by ignorance. And he gives also the various parts of the tree of samsara, which is what, which is what, which is what. Karma is the one which is the water, which makes this tree of samsara grow again and again. The fruits that are there on the tree of the samsara are karma phalas. And what am I doing? The jiva. I am running, jumping from one branch to the other, one branch to the other. I'm eating the karma phalas. I'm doing the karma. I'm going, jumping from one branch to the other, one branch to the other. In this way, I'm coming back again and again and again into the cycles of birth and death. Maybe after this life, because if I have done some punya karmas, I may go to the higher lokas. If there have been predominantly papa karmas, I may be born in lower yonis. I may be born in lower, kinds of worlds. So this tree of samsara keeps perpetuating. And who perpetuates it? I, the jiva, perpetuate it. How do I perpetuate it? Because I do not know my reality as to who I am, because of the avarana shakti, because of the vikshepa, thinking of myself to be as good as much as the body mind sense complex. I go on nourishing, 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 strengthening this anatma, strengthening this body mind sense complex. How do I strengthen this body mind sense complex? By doing more and more and more karmas. The more karma I do, the more karma phalas I am going to accrue. The more karma phalas I am going to accrue, the more I have to come back again and again and again into these cycles of birth and death. This is how the pratishta or sustenance of this tree of samsara continues. This tree of samsara is nothing but bondage. That's what Bhagwan Krishna also said in the 15th chapter. Urdhvamulam adashaka ashvatta prahuravya. This tree of samsara he described like an ashvatta tree which keeps growing, which keeps growing. And how do you get rid of it? Asanga shastrena dhridena chitva. And tat padam tat parimargitavyam. That means with the knowledge, parimarganam, self inquiry. What is the self inquiry? What am I? Why do I feel that I am this anatma? See, if I am not exposed to this particular shastra, I may not even be aware that I am not this body mind sense complex. You just ask anybody, who are you? They say, I am this body, my name is so and so. All the descriptions given to the body mind sense complex, starting from the parents to the date of birth to what one is doing, everything is given. How many people are aware of the fact that they are not the body mind sense complex? Even if you tell them, see, there is this anatma. What is this anatma? They don't know. See, you are not the anatma, but you are the atma. What is atma? What is something called as Atma? Is there something called as Atma? Now it is only because of, Ishvara's grace. It is only because of Ishvara's grace that a jiva comes to expose himself to some kind of Shastrik Vichara. He understands that there are two things. When I say I, there are two things. And it is said, the Shastra says, our elders say, that one of them I am not. I am not one of them. I am the other of them. What is this that I am not? What is it that I am? I should know what it is. And it is said, it is the anatma which I am not the anatma. I am the atma. That is what our scriptures say. That is what our elders say. That is what I have heard. But what is the meaning of anatma? What is the meaning of atma? This I will come to know only when I expose myself to the Guru and Shastra. Only on exposure of this intellect to the Guru and Shastra. That too when? After I have prepared myself sufficiently. After I have prepared myself sufficiently, my intellect sufficiently, doing Karma Yoga Chitta Shuddhi with Upasana Yoga Chitta Naishchalyam as described in Bhagavad Gita, I become a Jnana Yogya. When I get this Jnana Yogyata Prapti, when I become Jnana Yogya, then what do? I go to a guru and ask for this knowledge. And what does the guru say? The guru says that you are not this body mind sense complex. Hey Shisha, this body mind sense complex is called as anatma, but you are something different from this anatma. You are the very observer. You are the very witness. You are the very consciousness because of which this body mind sense complex is there. But unfortunately, because of your ignorance, all these lives and lives together, you have been taking yourself to be nothing but this body mind sense complex, and you have not really known your real nature. And to know your real nature, to understand your real nature, what should you do? You should do what is called as Atma, Anatma, Viveka. This is what we saw in the last two sessions as to what is this Atma Anatma Viveka. So when the Guru says you are not the Anatma, you are the Atma, in that case, how do I differentiate? How do I know that I am not the Anatma? How do I know that I am that Atma? So what is this kind of a teaching or knowledge? What is this understanding which makes me understand that I am not the Anatma but I am Atma? This is called as Atma Anatma Vivekaha. This was the last question asked. Tayoho Vivekaha Kaha. What is that Viveka between Atma and Anatma? And in the last one or two sessions, we saw that to explain Atma Anatma Viveka, here the Guru takes the teaching methodology followed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Earlier, to say what is an Atma, the Guru took Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, Sharira Traya was taken. Whereas here, to talk about the Atma Anatma Viveka, what does the teacher take? The whole Anatma is divided into five layers, Panchakosha. So Panchakosha Viveka is the prakriya or the module of teaching which the teacher uses to talk to the Shishya about Atma and Atma Viveka. And in this particular module, the teacher divides the entire Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira or Anatma into five koshas or five layers. The Sthula Sharira becomes what is called as the Annamaya Kosha or the food sheet, the sheet or the food cover. Then the Sukshma Sharira is divided into three layers, subsequently into three layers, that is Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then the Karana Shariram is called as the Anandamaya Kosha. And the teacher goes from kosha to kosha to kosha. What is Annamaya Kosha? He talks about. I have discussed it in detail, so I don't have to talk about it. I'm only summarizing whatever we have seen in the last few sessions where the Shishya's question about the Bandha is being answered by the Guru. So here Atma Anatma Viveka is the most important thing here. And what is being talked about in Atma Anatma Viveka here? He says that you are not the Annamaya Kosha. Why you are not the Annamaya Kosha? Annamaya Kosha is a product of Anna. It is Anna Vikaraha. It is Annamayaha. Therefore, it is matter principle. It is available for perception for me also, for others also. Therefore, it is an object of perception. It is Drishyam. Number three, it comes and it goes. It is not Nityam, it is Anityam. Number four, it is Vikari, Savikari, constantly changing. There are the six Bhava Vikaras Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. So the Annamaya Kosha or the Sthula Sharira appears, grows, changes into adulthood, starts coming down, it starts degenerating, and one day it dies. Therefore, it is Anitya, it is Savikari, and it is many things put together. It is a Samhataha, Avayavi. Therefore, this Annamaya Kosha, you are not this Annamaya Kosha. What are you? You are the changeless, eternal, one single, Niravayavi, Nirvikari Atma. You are the consciousness which is the witness, the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. You are the witness consciousness of the changing Annamaya Kosha, the grossest. Next, he comes to the Pranamaya Kosha. Prana is nothing but the physiological sheath of the body, and the physiological functions are carried on by the Pranamaya. And it is Pranamaya where the action of anything, any kind of an action is initiated. With the help of the Karmendriyas, this Pranamaya Kosha carries on using the Annamaya Kosha, it carries on all the transactions, all the vyavaharas. The Pranamaya Kosha also you are not. Why you are not the Pranamaya Kosha? Same reasons as was given for the Annamaya Kosha. One thing, it is Anityam, it is Vikari, and it is multiple, it is put together, constantly changing, Aniyata Swabhavaha, constantly changing. Therefore, you are not the Pranamaya also. So, Vikaritvat, Drishyatvat, Anityatvat, three things also you remember. The Annamaya, Pranamaya, one is Anityatvat. This Annamaya is also Anitya, Pranamaya is also Anitya. Then Drishyatvat, it is an object of my perception, object of other people's perceptions also. It is there. So it is, something which is Drishya and which is a matter principle and Vikari. It is constantly changing. If this much we remember, that is enough. So it is Drishya, it is matter principle, it is constantly changing, appearing and disappearing. And it is Jada, it is a product of Prakriti, therefore it is Jada. Therefore, Annamaya, you are not. You are not the Pranamaya also. Next is the Manomaya or the mental sheath or the emotional sheath. Here he says that the mind, along with all the sense organs of perceptions together, is called Manomaya Kosha, where the thoughts are in the form of emotions, The thoughts are in the form of doubting, sankalpa, vikalpa, but the mind also is the one where all the planning takes place. The mind is the one where the thoughts are always planning, knowing what is what. The mind is the one differentiates between various names and various forms, but you are not the mind also. Why? The same reasons, because it is also changing constantly. It is drishyam, it is a matter principle, it is anityam. Because of this, you are not the manomaya also. Then he comes to the next kosha called as Vijnanamaya kosha. What is Vijnanamaya kosha? The buddhi indriyas, all the jnanendriyas, along with the buddhi together are called as Vijnanamaya kosha. And what are the thoughts here? Nishchayatmika buddhi. Any decision that is made to do something is called as Vijnanamaya kosha. If you remember, in also Bhagavad Gita and also in Kathopanishad, there is an imagery where the body is compared to a ratha, the jiva is compared to the ratha swami, the person sitting in the ratha, and at the same time, the Vijnanamaya or the buddhi is compared to the sarathi. Why? Because it is the Vijnanamaya, the buddhi, which decides as to what is to be done, what is not to be done. It takes inputs from the mind, it takes inputs from the sense organs, and then it decides. It decides, the Vijnanamaya decides as to what is to be done. So, Vijnanamaya is the layer where knowing is happening, doing is happening. So, Vijnanamaya is the knower, Vijnanamaya is the doer. So, the knower and doer is both the Buddhi or Vijnanamaya. Manomaya and Vijnanamaya are not very much different because they belong to the same Antakarana. They are two functional aspects. Whenever there is an emotional thought, whenever there is a doubting thought, when there is no clarity, when there is a distinction or differentiation between two or three things, that particular thought process is called as mind. And Vijnana is when there is a definite decision that is made, and when I become a karta, a doer, or when I become a knower, that particular vritti or thought is the Vijnanamaya. So, both the Manomaya and Vijnanamaya belong ultimately to what? They ultimately belong to the, Anatma only. But then they are Antakarana. Both Manomaya, Vijnanamaya are the two parts of the Antakarana. There's not much of a difference between them, a very subtle difference between them. Lastly, he talks about the Anandamaya. It is called Anandamaya Kosha because this Anandamaya Kosha reflects the Ananda or reflects the Sukha Swarupa Atma. The Sukha or the Ananda, which is the Swarupa Ananda of Atma, is reflected in this Anandamaya Kosha in the form of three vrittis: Priya vritti, Moda vritti, Pramoda vritti. What is Priya vritti? When I see something, Ishta Artha Labha, when I see something of my choice, which is an object of my liking, there is a sense of happiness which happens, which is called as Priya vritti, means the thought of Ananda Priya. Then I want to possess it. And when I possess that object of my liking, there is a higher degree of Ananda, which is called as Moda. And when I enjoy that object of my happiness, I have seen it, I have possessed it, and now I'm enjoying it. I gave you the ice cream example. When I enjoy it, it becomes what is called as the Pramoda Vritti. So the Anandamaya Kosha has got graded happiness in the form of Priya, Moda, Pramoda Vritti. And Anandamaya is also a product of Prakriti. It is also a Prakriti Vikara. So just like Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya, the Anandamaya also is a kosha. You are not that. All the five koshas are Prakriti Vikaras. They are Anitya, they are Vikari, and they are Drishya. Whereas who are you? Who are you? Tvam Padartha. Who are you? You are that Atma, which is none of these things. And now in the next section, the Guru talks about the Tvam Padartha. What is this you? I told you, you are not the Anatma, body, mind, sense complex. You are not the Annamaya, not the Pranamaya, not the Manomaya, not the Vijnanamaya, not the Anandamaya. If that is so, then who is this called as you? Tvam Padartha Vichara. Now we have to understand that Bhagwan Shankaracharya is now going towards the culmination where now the Tvam Pada Vichara is being talked about, because ultimately the teaching of the Shruti, the teaching of the Upanishads is what? Tat Tvam Asi. You are that Brahman. You are that Ishvara. There is no bheda between you, the Tvam Padartha, and Tat, that Brahman. So to go to this Mahavakya Vichara, to go to this non-difference between me, I, and Brahman, the Tvam Padartha is going to be dealt with from the next session. I gave this particular summary of this whole thing, what we have done in the last 2 or 3 sessions, 3 or 4 sessions, only because all the questions that were asked by the Shishya as to ko nama bandha, kathamesha agatah, ka asya pratishta, katham asmad vimochanah, then atmaha, paramatma, ko asau aparatma, ko asau anatma, tayoho vivekah kaha. These 7 questions were asked, and all these 7 questions were answered, and I have given a very brief summary of all that was answered for these 7 questions. Now, the real nature of the self, the true nature, the meaning of you. What is the meaning of you? If the meaning of you is not an Atma, if the meaning of you is Atma, in that case, what is the meaning of that Atma? What are the features of that Atma? What is the nature of that Atma? What is the Swarupam of that Atma? What is the meaning of Swarupam? Swarupa Lakshanas of the Atma are going to be talked about now. What are you? You are that Atma. What is that Atma? So, Swarupa Lakshanas of that Atma are going to be talked about. What is the meaning of Lakshanas? Lakshana means an indication, a definition. Lakshana means a definition. Swarupa Lakshana means the definition of the very nature of something. Swarupa is the nature. How do you define Swarupa? That which never goes away from it. That is the Swarupa. Example, let us take fire. In fire, the heat in the fire is the Swarupa of fire. Wherever the fire may be in the coldest place, fire may be lit in Siberia, doesn't matter. The heat of the fire will be there. It does not mean that just because the fire is in a cold place, it does not become cold. Let us take hot water. Water is hot now, but you remove it from the fire and keep it for some time, the fire loses its heat. Why? Because heat is not the intrinsic quality of water, but heat is the intrinsic quality of fire. Wherever there is fire, there is heat. Internally, that is the very Swarupam, that is the very nature of fire. So, when you say Swarupa Lakshana, the definition of the nature of a thing is called as Swarupa Lakshana. Lakshana means definition, defining what is the Swarupam. Like heat is the Swarupa Lakshana of fire. Heat and light are the Swarupa Lakshanas of fire. Similarly, if you are not the Anatma, if you are that Atma, then what is it? What is the nature of this Atma? That is going to be talked about in the next few verses. So now he says here in the verse number 211. Verse number 211. What does he say here? योऽयमात्मा स्वयं ज्योतिः पञ्चकोशविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्षी सन् निर्विकारो निरञ्जनः सदानन्दः सह विज्ञेयः स्वात्मत्वेन विपश्चिता. May a Viveki, may an intelligent person differentiate and clearly see oneself not to be the Anatma, but clearly see oneself to be that Atma. So he said, Vipaschita, the last word, Vipaschita means by a Viveki, a person who has the intelligence, the person who has the capacity to differentiate or discriminate, the person who has the capacity of Viveka, may him see Swatmatvena, may he see this Atma as himself, as his true nature. So, what is this Atma? After having negated the Panchakoshas as mithya, when we say the Panchakoshas are Prakriti Vikaras, and they are what? Anityas, they are Vikaris, they are many, they are drishya. What is the meaning of that? It means that the anatma is mithya. This is mithya. Mithya means what? It is an experiential reality. It is there. Anatma is there, very much there. I can see the body. I can feel the body. I can feel my pranamaya kosha. I can feel my manomaya kosha. I can feel my vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. But then, are they real? Are they absolute reality? No. Why? This body was there sometime, not there now. It was not there before, it is there right now, it is going to disappear after some time. Therefore, is this body real? During Jagrat Avastha, this body is there. During Swapna Avastha, where is this body? During Sushupti Avastha, where is this body? Let us take Sukshma Sharira. The Sukshma Sharira is there in Jagrat Avastha, but it is not very well available to me because my Sthula Sharira is predominant. Sukshma Sharira is not available in Sushupti Avastha also because it is totally folded up. If that is the thing, can I say that the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, or my five koshas, are they the reality? They are experiential realities. They are there, but they don't have independent existence of their own. This is what is called as mithya. So, what is the meaning of mithya? Number one, that which is there, but that is not the absolute reality. It is experienced, but it is not the absolute truth. That is called as mithya, number one. Second explanation of mithya is when something cannot exist independently, it depends on something else for its existence. That is called as mithya. Same thing with the Panchakoshas or the three Shariras. What are they? They are experiential realities, but really speaking, they are not there because they come and they go. To believe also, it is not possible. There are people who are there who are not there now. Are they really there? To say they are not there, they were there at some time. But now, can you say they are there? They are not there now. So, what are they? Are they Satya or they Mithya? If it is Satyam, it should be present all the time, which is going to be discussed in future also. What is Satyam? What is the meaning of Satyam? That which is there all the time, that which is not there all the time, which is a mere experiential reality, but not the absolute reality. This is called as Mithya. So the Pancha Koshas are Mithya. But who are you? You are the very observer consciousness of the entire Mithya Prapancha, entire Mithya body mind sense complex. And therefore, you are this Atma who is Satyam. So, what does he say here in the 211th verse? The Atma, you, who are you? Dvatam Padartha. You, the Guru says, you are not the Anatma. Then who are you? Yo ayam Atma Swayam Jyotihi. This Atma that you are is self revealing. Swayam Jyotihi. You don't need anything else to light it up. You don't need something else to show it up. You don't need anything else to illumine. See, I am iti, I know. Nobody has to tell me, correct? Does somebody have to tell me you are there? You are there? Should I ask somebody, am I here? Am I there? Am I not there? No. I am. I am. Aham asmi. It is absolutely available to me. All the time, aham asmi iti, this knowledge is available to me. Why? Because aham, this atma, is constantly revealing itself. Therefore, it is swayam jyotihi. Let me give another example. This light is lighting up everything. Does this light need another light to light it up? It does not need. Atma is the light of consciousness which reveals itself. It does not require any other Atma. It does not require anything else to reveal it. So, this Atma reveals itself. It is self revealing and reveals everything else. Just like this light reveals itself, I am aware of the light also. I can see the light also. I can see what the light is revealing also. Similarly, here it is said, Atma is Swayam Jyoti. Atma is the light of consciousness which reveals itself as Ahamasmi, as I am, and reveals the entire Anatma. This body mind sense complex Anatma is revealed. Revealed by whom? Revealed by what? Revealed by this self luminous, self illuminating, self revealing Atma. Therefore, who are you? Yo ayam Atma. This Atma that you are, Swayam Jyotihi. You are that Atma which reveals itself, which is of the nature of the light of consciousness. Like sunlight reveals everything. Sunlight reveals itself. Sun reveals itself, reveals the whole world. Correct? You don't require anything else to reveal the sun or reveal the sunlight. In sunlight, everything is revealed. The sun itself is revealed by its own light, and in its light, everything is revealed. The light itself, this light, electric bulb, the light here itself is revealed by itself, and it reveals everything else that is there. Similarly, it is said here that Atma is of the nature of Swayam Jyotihi. It is of the nature of self luminous light of consciousness. It reveals itself, and everything else, this whole world, this whole jagat, this whole body mind sense complex Anatma is revealed because of this Atma. Without the Atma, that I am Anatma also, I will not know. I will not even know this, that I am Anatma. This confusion is also lighted up by that Atma light only, by the light of consciousness only. My confusion is lighted up. My ignorance is lighted up. Isn't it? I say I am confused. My confusion is also lighted up by the same Atma. I don't know anything about it. I talk about my ignorance. My ignorance is lighted up by the same Atma. Oh, I know this. My knowledge about something is also lighted up by the same Atma. The Shruti says that I am Anatma, not Anatma, I am the Atma, but I don't know anything about it. Who's revealing it? I think that I am the Anatma, but our Shastra says that you are not the body, mind, sense, Anatma. You are this Atma, this knowledge, this understanding. What reveals it? It is that self luminous, self lighting, self revealing light of consciousness, Swayam Jyoti. That is why you might have heard this particular mantra of the Kathopanishad and Mundakopanishad. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kuto yamagnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. That light of consciousness, when it shines, it is bhaswarupa. This light of consciousness is Bhaswarupa, or of the nature of the light of consciousness, which reveals itself, which reveals everything after it. Tasya Bhasa, when it shines, Sarvamidam Vibhati. Everything is revealed after it. So, Yo Ayam Atma, Yaha Ayam Atma, Swayam Jyotihi, of the nature of self revealing consciousness. What is it? Panchakosha vilakshanaha, that which is other than the Panchakoshas, that which is other than the Atma. The Panchakoshas are the matter principle, whereas Atma is the consciousness principle. The Panchakoshas are Jada, whereas Atma is Chetana. The Panchakoshas are Drishyas, whereas the Atma is the seer, the Drik, the witness consciousness. The Panchakoshas are vikaris, whereas this Atma, the light of consciousness, without changing, constantly, simultaneously, without undergoing any change, reveals everything. Like this bulb, like this light here, it is not changing constantly. It is constantly one light, one beam of light which is lighting up everything in this room continuously without undergoing any change unless there is a problem in the switch or something. Similarly, this Atma is the light of consciousness which has no matter principle whatsoever. It is Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi. It is the witness of the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. I know that I am awake. Who is it that knows that I am awake? The one who knows that I am awake is the Atma. When I am dreaming, there is something which is aware of the dream. What is it that is aware of the dream? It is the Swayam Jyoti Atma. When I'm sleeping, there is something which is aware of the deep sleep also. And when I wake up, I say, I am that same waker who slept yesterday night and then dreamt a particular dream, which was this dream. I explained that also. Then I don't know when I fell asleep. I fell asleep fast. I did not know anything. I did not have any idea of what was going on. What is the meaning of it? There was some witness all the time, witnessing all the three states of my being, of this jiva. The Jagrit Avastha, that which is aware of, that principle, that consciousness which is aware of the Swapna Avastha, that consciousness which is aware of the Sushupti Avastha is this Atma called as Avasthatraya Sakshi. Sun is the Avasthatraya Sakshi. Nirvikaraha, it does not undergo any change. What undergoes change? Matter principle undergoes change. Consciousness principle does not undergo any change. If our local lights can continuously light up without undergoing any change, what about this light of consciousness? Nirvikaraha, no changes are there. Niranjanaha, not affected by anything that it lights up. It lights up the whole anatma. This atma is in and through the anatma, lights up the anatma, lights up the panchakoshas, lights up the avasthatraya. Even then, it is not afflicted, not affected by any of these things. The anatma does not sully it. The anatma does not make it impure. This atma constantly remains shuddhaha, niranjanaha, without any kind of a lepa. It does not get stained by the anatma. It reveals the anatma. It is in and through the anatma. Because of this atma, the anatma exists. Because of this atma only, there is an existence for anatma. Without the atma, the anatma cannot exist. In spite of that, this multiple, multifarious anatma names and forms the entire world, including this body, mind, sense complex, cannot sully this atma. Therefore, it is Niranjanaha, Sadanandaha, Sada Ananda Swarupaha, not the Ananda of Anandamaya Kosha. The Anandamaya Kosha of Anandamaya Kosha is what? Priya Moda Pramoda, various degrees of happiness. Whereas what is this Atma? Sada Ananda Swarupaha, Sada Purnatva Swarupaha. It is what is called as the Atmananda, Swarupa Ananda. There is no dukkha in it. The dukkha is for the jiva. The dukkha is for the mind. The dukkha is the feature of anatma. Atma never has any dukkha. I may transfer my dukkha falsely to the Atma, but really speaking, Atma does not have any dukkha. It is constant Ananda Swarupa, Sukha Swarupa, Savigneyaha. Such an Atma is to be known as the You, as the Tvam Padartha. Panchakosha Vilakshana, Shariratraya Vyatirikta, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Swayam Jyoti Swarupaha, Nirvikaraha, Niranjanaha, Ananda Swarupaha. This is my Swarupa. Just see who I am. It's only Vedanta which really tells me who I am. Everybody else will only call me a sinner or they will call me a person who is useless. But it is only Vedanta who says that you are not this small, limited anatma body, mind, sense complex. You are ultimately this highest truth, the highest truth which is nothing but Swayam Jyotihi. You are that light of consciousness because of which the entire matter principle is lighted up. You are that never changing, never afflicted light of consciousness because of which everything comes to be known. And Saha Vigneyaha, it is to be known. By whom? Vipaschita, by a Viveki, this Atma should be known as myself. Svatmatvena Vigneyaha. A Viveki or a Mumukshu, a student of Vedanta, ultimately, after having this Atma and Atma Viveka, should understand that I am this Atma. This is my Swarupam. Anatma is my incidental Rupa. It is not my Swarupa. My Swarupam is this Atma, which is Panchakosha Vilakshanaha, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Sharira, Traya Vilakshanaha, whatever has been explained here. This is the real me. Just listening to it is so such a positive thing. I am that, but I did not know. Because of the handiwork of Maya, because of the Avarana Shakti of Maya, I being all these, I am not aware. I do not know that I am all these things. So that the Avarana Shakti has completely masked, it has covered my real nature, and I am mistaking myself to be the Anatma. So, in Tvam-pada Vichara, the real meaning of what is you, the teacher tells the student, you are this Ayam Atma. You are this Atma. That's why Mandukya Upanishad says, Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma, this me, is nothing but that consciousness which is the Adhishtana of entire universe. That is going to come later in the Mahavakya Vichara at the end of this particular Vivekachudamani. So with this, we will stop in this session, and in the next session, we'll go to the other features of what this Atma is. Is it something which is seen or which is unseen? How do you make out that I am that Atma? Because I cannot see it. That is what the student is going to ask. How do I know I am that Atma? That is what is going to be studied from the next session. नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत्